Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast, and welcome back Ross Barkley to Aston Villa. So on this episode, we're going to take a look at where Ross Barkley fits in to the Unai Emery Aston Villa system. So if you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing, smash a like and comment your thoughts on Ross Barkley back to Aston Villa. So we're going to start off with having a look at some of the key characteristics of why we've signed him. Then we're going to have a look at where he fits into the current Aston Villa midfield. Ross Barkley this season has had an unbelievable season. He won Luton's Player of the Season. He was instrumental to them having a chance of staying up. He was the shining light. He was the leader. He was the player that didn't shy away from any challenge this season. And he's been absolutely amazing for Luton. I've watched him quite a lot because I've watched Luton quite a lot this season. And by watching Luton, I've noticed that there's one player that has stood out and has played really, really well for Luton in a different role. Normally, we'd imagine Ross Barkley in the number 10 or in and around an attacking 8 area. For Luton, he's been playing as more of a deep line playmaker, but box to box. Literally, he's been everywhere. But he's been playing in a deeper role that has really suited him. What that's enabled him to do is to set the tempo. It's enabled him to fizz passes from deep to attacking areas. But his confidence on the ball has been absolutely amazing. So I'm going to show you some images now. The last image is the best one. So stay tuned for the last one. Right, so here we've got Ross Barkley. And this is against Arsenal. All these images that I'm about to show you against Arsenal. And why this is quite important is because Arsenal are, in my opinion, the best pressers in the Premier League. They press well. They suffocate the opposition. They're aggressive. Everybody presses, whether it's one or two. They're a really well-drilled team. So if you beat your individual player, then there's going to be another player that's going to be pressing on you as well. So this game highlights all of his characteristics of why I think we've signed him. So here we've got Ross Barkley here. We can see that there's 2 Arsenal players that are stepping up in front of him and pressing him. Easy option is to turn back and go the other way, i.e. going back this way. But Ross Barkley doesn't do this. Ross Barkley takes the forward touch. So what Ross Barkley does, as you can kind of see on here, we've touched the ball here, and what we've done is we've sold Odegaard, and now we're in space. So by selling Odegaard and making this forward decision, Barkley could easily make a pass into here, or he can make a pass into here. So that's one area that I've been really impressed with, his ability to stand up players and take the player on and be confident. Next up, another area is we've got Ross Barkley in tight, congested areas, being able to recycle and look after the ball. What Arsenal did against Ross Barkley is they played a box on Barkley, and you'll probably see this in a second with some of the other images, is they decided to use a box to suffocate Ross Barkley. But what Barkley was able to do is navigate the Arsenal press. Here again, we've got 3 more Arsenal players all around Ross Barkley, comfortable on the ball, being able to turn into this space and being able to get his head up. We've got him in this deep line role, the role that is new to Ross Barkley, where he was sort of in this sort of number 6 vibe, whereas normally you'll see him in those attacking 8, number 10 areas. The 6 has really suited him because he's been able to have, especially in these areas, a little bit more time on the ball. So Barkley, with more time, he's able to get his head up and he's able to be a little bit more creative and he's able to exploit teams. But he's also been magnificent in these tight areas. Another area that Ross Barkley has excelled in this season is his 1v1 standing up of players. You get Ross Barkley in this 1v1 area here, and there's one winner in the scenario, and it's Ross Barkley. And he was able to do this fantastically well as well. When teams weren't doubling, tripling up on him, the 1v1 scenario was where Barkley was able to excel, drop that shoulder, go. We know he's got a real good shot on him as well. So in this instance, he was able to beat his man. Next up, we've got Ross Barkley in central midfield. And this is what I was talking about with the box that was surrounding Barkley. We've got the 4 players here. We've even got Jesus that was tasked to stop the balls going into Barkley. But as you can see here, Barkley now has rolled Jesus and he's going to be going into that direction through there, or he can even go in that direction over there. And then finally, we've got some more. We've got Ross Barkley with his head up in that deep line playmaker role. And then here we now have, this one is absolutely fantastic. And this is the best one that I was talking about. Notice the box. The box is around Ross Barkley. So this goal is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable it is. The ball starts with Ross Barkley surrounded by 4 Arsenal players. Barkley's not bothered. Barkley drives through the Arsenal players and gets into this attacking area where he's got green grass ahead of him. So bear in mind, this was the starting position of Ross Barkley. And now this is the next phase of the move with Ross Barkley. The move doesn't end here. Ross Barkley then navigates into this attacking third area. Ross Barkley then plays a beautiful pass over here to a player that's off screen. Ross Barkley follows his run and he's able to finish and score past David Raya. Now, this is all about how good Ross Barkley has been this season. And I've heard a lot of, yeah, but he was in a crap Luton team. And I'll spin it the other way, that he's looked and has been the player that has stood out in that team. And this performance against Arsenal, we know how good Arsenal are. It wasn't a one-off, because I've been watching Luton week in, week out, and Ross Barkley was doing this over the course of the whole season. And we can see this from Ross Barkley's stats this season. A 7.17 rating on SofaScore, 5 goals, 4 assists, passing accuracy, 85%, 89% in his own half, 78% in the opposition half, which is really, really high. We've also got interceptions per game, 0.8, tackles per game, 1.5, ball recovery, 6.3, dribble pass, 1.2, clearances per game, 1.5, successful dribble, 66%, total jaws, 51%, ground jaws, 50, aerial, 56. Now, Barkley has had a fantastic season. He's done really, really well. And I think that this is a real savvy signing from Aston Villa, because it's on a free, or near enough on a free. That's how we've been able to get the deal done early. And what we've been able to do is bring in a player with Premier League experience who's been playing really, really well and come into our team and become part of the squad. Now, becoming part of the squad, it's not like any other squad in the Premier League. Being part of Unai Emery's squad is technically being a first team player. Everybody who is called upon from the squad has a vitally important role to play. If Ross Barkley was Aston Villa's last signing of the window and we'd spent money here, there, we bought in young players, experience, loans, and Ross Barkley, I think some would look at this as a different type of signing. The fact that he's near enough the first one, it doesn't matter whether we're Champions League and we're bringing in Ross Barkley. He's a good player that's going to be able to adapt and help out this Aston Villa side. Now, me and Justin was on the Ripple Effect, James Alcott, and we were talking about Villa's midfield. And we were talking about midfielders that we'd sign. And James was going, haven't you already got loads of midfielders? And we were like, no, we need more. And the reason why we need more, and we still need more, is for this reason here. Now, this season, and I've put Bailey on here, and I've put Watkins, so you can kind of understand the attacking system of Aston Villa a little bit more, is that if we go back to beating Man City and beating Arsenal, what was Aston Villa's team? It was Boubacar Kamara, Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, and Yuri Tielemans with Bailey and Watkins. Now, those that midfield four here. So Tielemans supporting the striker, dropping into a box midfield. McGinn on the left, Luiz and Kamara holding. If you look at those four are technically Aston Villa's best central midfielders and technically our main central midfielders. Yes, we know we've got a squad that can rotate and we've got players like Chambers, Irabunan. But for me, Chambers goes in the summer, Irabunan possibly goes out on loan. So if we currently look at the players we've got Dendonka to come back, but I imagine he's going to go. If you look at our midfield, where are the rest of the midfielders? The out-and-out midfielders. So bringing in more midfielders is crucial to Aston Villa because we need cover to Kamara. Luiz needs some competition. We need more rotation with midfielders if we go with this setup next season as well. And yes, it's all sort of like vice versa. You know, if say Ramsey plays, McGinn may possibly move over to this side, then Tielemans can go on the bench. And then you've got a little bit more rotation. And then you can sort of maybe rotate a Luiz with a Tielemans. But where I feel like Barkley comes into the picture, especially is when we play in Champions League football, we will not be rotating our team at all. It will be the strongest side we can put out. So you're talking Kamara can't play early on anyway. So maybe Tielemans, Luiz, Ramsey, McGinn, he could possibly look like this. And we've played on a Tuesday and we've got a Premier League game against, say, Ipswich on the Sunday. Might we want to have a little bit of rotation somewhere? Maybe. And what a perfect player for Tielemans out, Barkley in. Now, that would be a great opportunity for Barkley to get more minutes, Barkley to play. If it's not Barkley in there, we could imagine Barkley for Luiz in there, maybe, possibly. We could have Barkley on the left. We could have Barkley in that role. So Unai has seen an opportunity for Ross Barkley to have a role in this Aston Villa side. And I think it's vitally important. I think it's a really, really good signing. If we go back now and have a little look at Unai Emery's time at Villarreal. So if we go back now, and I'll just quickly try and show you Villarreal in the Champions League. So if we go Champions League, we'll try and go to the Liverpool game. So we'll go to the Liverpool game. We'll have a look at the lineup. What Unai Emery liked in his teams is he liked that little bit of experience, that 30-year-old player, the older head in there. And who did he have? Capoue. He had Capoue in there, and he was that player that Emery just liked in there, 30 years of age, really reliable. And Capoue was in his 30s playing in the Champions League and then managed to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. So age doesn't matter for me. And I think that this is a really good, astute signing. And I think the characteristics that I've showed you from the Arsenal game can be doing in the Villa game. I was seeing it all season. And yeah, maybe the loan move didn't work out last time, but we didn't have Unai Emery. We didn't have Unai Emery. Like, the man is an absolute genius, and he's seen something in Ross Barkley that he's thought can bring great value to this Aston Villa side. So for me, I'm all for it. I think it's a great first signing. There's going to be more to come. There's going to be signings with a fee. There's going to be loan signings. There's going to be youngsters coming in as well. The window is long, and it doesn't matter which way we sign the players, in which order. But Barkley is a good first one, in my opinion. Villa fans, let me know your thoughts. Up the Villa, up the Ross Barkley, up the signings.